Listen. So, let's talk about the next evolutionary step. So we're in phylum Chordata. We already talked about tunicates and lancelets and fish and amphibians. Here's the problem with amphibians. If you're an amphibian, you can't leave the water. You got to stay near the water for two reasons. One, you reproduce in the water. You put your sperm and eggs into the water, and the sperm and eggs meet in the water. So you have to go back in water to reproduce. And the little tadpole that results swims around and eats and lives in the water. So you got to be near water to reproduce if you're an amphibian. Yes.
The second one because their lungs aren't strong enough, so they make
The second one is because it's sort of for that reason. Their lungs aren't very strong, so they got to take in oxygen through their skin. So the skin has to be thin, and if you have thin skin, water will diffuse out of your body through your thin skin. And then you dry up real fast. So you got to be near the water to keep from drying out. When a frog gets all dried up because it's lost a lot of water through its skin, it just dives back in the water and it gets moist again. But if you are away from water, you can't do that. So amphibians have to be near water. Do you get the point that amphibians have to be near water? So that's a disadvantage. So what happened was reptiles evolved. Reptiles don't have to be near water. They evolved from amphibians. They evolved better lungs and thicker skin, so they wouldn't lose water through their skin. And they evolved to be able to have babies away from water. They evolved internal fertilization. You know what that means? Penis, vagina. That woke some people up. Penis, vagina. That's internal fertilization. The male inseminates the female with sperm, and the sperm meet the egg inside the female's body. Reptiles came up with that.
Really?
Yeah.
Not mammals? They came before mammals.
Before mammals. Mammals came from reptiles.
Yeah.
So they evolved good lungs, thick skin with scales, internal fertilization, and most importantly, the amniotic egg. They don't have to have a tadpole that swims around in the ocean and finds food. Everything that the embryo needs is in the egg. There's the embryo, and surrounding the embryo is a membrane that holds water around the embryo. It's called the amnion. Can you say amnion?
Amnion.
This whole egg is called the amniotic egg. The amniotic egg. And it's got several membranes. Membrane 1 is called the amnion, which holds water around the embryo. I guess it's numbered 12 in this video, or 10 in that picture. But the amnion holds water around the embryo. So the embryo will never dry out. That's one thing that the egg has. Another thing the egg has is food for the embryo. That's here. You know what this sac is that holds food for the embryo?
Yeah.
What's it called?
A food sack.
Embryonic sac.
Close.
I don't know.
Anyone know? Chicken eggs have it. It's the yellow stuff in the egg.
Yolk.
Yolk. It's the yolk sac.
Nope.
The yolk sac.
I don't know.
That's food for the embryo.
How is that close to food sack?
Can we throw this away?
There's another sac in there for wastes. This right here, this is the waste sac. You know what we call the waste sac?
The liver sac.
It's called the allantois. You would have never guessed that.
An allantois?
The allantois is the waste sac.
That was my next guess.
Well, guess what? You're a yolk sack.
The embryo's nitrogen wastes, which are pee wastes, the embryo basically pees into this sac. And then there's one last container, this membrane here, it's called the chorion, and it brings in oxygen. The chorion, oxygen sac. The chorion gets oxygen for the embryo, and then there's a shell that protects the whole thing. There's a shell around the outside for protection. In reptiles, the shell is leathery. In birds, the shell is hard. But either way, it's very well protected, the embryo inside there. So the embryo has everything it needs, and it doesn't have to go back to water. The mother can lay the egg on land and leave it there, and it should develop into a reptile that can survive on its own without the mother even being around. Now, some reptiles do care for their young, but a lot don't. They just leave the egg there and they go. Crocodiles and alligators are kind of famous for caring for their young. But sea turtles or something, they just lay a bunch of eggs and they leave them. They never come back. And
What percentage of the nest
most of them they
survives?
land.
I know a lot
For
of
sea
that.
turtles?
Yeah.
Not many.
Like
About 1 in 500
survive?
sea turtles will grow to adults. The other 499 die.
How many eggs in a litter? Whatever.
I think they have about 30 or 40 eggs in one nest.
So a whole nest.
They
can
come
die.
every year and lay new nests.
So a whole nest can die.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it really does.
There's hungry birds and fish waiting to eat the little baby turtles. Tough?
Dude, baby turtles are so cute.
Yeah, they are. I
Stop,
agree.
please.
There's an adult crocodile, or is that an alligator? I think that's an alligator.
What's the difference?
It has reptiles all have a 3-chambered heart. So fish have a 2-chambered heart. Amphibians have a 2-chambered heart as tadpoles, but a 3-chambered heart as adults. Reptiles have a 3-chambered heart.
Don't we have 4?
Birds and mammals have a 4-chambered heart. So you can see how the heart evolved as these organisms got more and more advanced.
Looks like a dinosaur.
4-chambered heart, they all have a complete digestive system. Reptiles' legs are also more under their body than amphibians. Amphibians' legs go straight out to the side. Reptile legs are a little more underneath. It helps them move around better on land. Land of the lock. Right here. You too. Take this.
I'm going to grab it.
Also, reptiles have scales. It's interesting, in evolution we see the fish have scales. Amphibians lost the scales. Reptiles have the scales back. There's a gene that can turn off scale growth and turn it back on. And it's turned off in amphibians.
Can some amphibians grow it on?
Amphibians don't have, they have it off because if they grew scales then their skin would be too thick. They couldn't take it off.
Like turtle?
Turtles are reptiles. And they have scales.
Wait, what's an amphibian?
Frog.
Frogs,
Oh.
toads, salamanders, newts.
Yeah.
Turn me into a newt.
What about a skink?
Skink is a reptile.
In that movie where that boy climbed in the water and then he turned into a fish.
In a movie?
Yeah, it's like a Disney movie.
Really?
Yeah.
Turns into a frog.
No, he turns into a fish.
This isn't.
You need to know this opening. Listen, it's called the cloaca. The cloaca is an opening that a reptile has where it pees, poops, and releases sperms through or takes in sperm through. It's a one hole does all. It's an all-purpose hole. We have different tubes for pee and poop and reproduction, but they all have the same tube, the same hole. It's called the cloaca. And so that's kind of interesting and different. What else does it have?
Where is the gonad thing?
The what? Gonad?
Yeah.
That produces either sperm or eggs. That's the reproductive organ.
And the gonads are different than the testes?
I didn't even see it.
They are.
How?
Well, gonad is a larger term, so that means it can either be male or female reproductive organs. The testes is just the male.
Sorry.
Video footage of reptiles. I'm going to ask you a question about this video afterward for 10 points.
Oh my goodness.
So make sure you pay attention. It's preschool.
Hi everyone! Today we're going to learn about reptiles.
Poppy voice.
Reptile is the name for a large group of animals. Reptiles are vertebrates, which means they have backbones. They are also cold-blooded, have scaly skin, and lay eggs. When we say that reptiles are cold-blooded, that does not mean that they are cold. It just means that they cannot keep their bodies the right temperature without help. To warm up, reptiles move somewhere warmer, often a nice sunny rock. To cool down, reptiles move somewhere cooler, perhaps into the water or a nice shady burrow. Because of this, reptiles mainly live places where it does not get too cold. This is probably why reptiles live on every continent except for Antarctica. Their skin is one good way to tell if the animal you are looking at is a reptile or an amphibian. Reptiles' scaly skin is dry and watertight. It may be rough or smooth, dull or shiny, but never slimy. If you see an animal that looks like a snake or a lizard, but it has wet or slimy skin, you're probably looking at an amphibian instead of a reptile. Almost all reptiles lay eggs, although some give birth to live young. Unlike birds' eggs, which have hard shells, reptile eggs are soft and leathery. Unlike amphibians, reptiles lay their eggs on land. Even reptiles that spend most of their time in the water, like alligators and sea turtles, lay their eggs on dry land. Reptiles are fascinating creatures and come in many different shapes and sizes. Some people even keep reptiles as pets. Some reptiles make good pets, and some would make very bad pets. I hope you enjoyed learning about reptiles today. Goodbye till next time.
I love that one.
10 points if you can tell me how you tell the difference by looking at it between a reptile and an amphibian,
I got it.
according to the video.
Oh gosh, I got half of it on my screen.
How do you tell the difference between a reptile and an amphibian? Just by looking.
Or dry slime.
Sure, I get it.
Yes, purple is correct. Blue is correct. Peach is correct. There you go. Orange is correct. Green is correct.
I was ripped apart my
White is correct. The slimy skin.
got like 3 minutes.
Take a look at the reptile family tree.
Thank you.
You need to know all the different groups of reptiles.
Jenny, you take over filming for one.
Oh no.
Oh good. For a minute.
Can you turn on the notification bell? Or you're gonna miss it. I want your subscription box.
Where's the thing? Where is it? Hold on.
Here we go.
Last time I did this, it worked out.
Okay, so here are the reptiles. You have your crocodilians.
That's what I read.
Listen, your dinosaurs, which the dinosaurs are extinct, but birds are related to the dinosaurs. And the two of them are most closely related to the crocodile, believe it or not. So the dinosaurs here went extinct. The crocodiles are still around, and the birds are still around. We'll talk about birds next. Then you have your group called the tuataras. Now, tuataras look like lizards. They're only found on New Zealand. And they have an extra eye, a third eye, on top of their head. They can see in the light or dark.
Where are they
They also have an extra set of teeth, the tuataras do. They're very interesting creatures, only found on New Zealand.
Why do they have an extra eye? How can you see throughout 3 eyes?
Yeah, it's different, isn't it? What if you had an extra eye on top of your head? That's what they're like.
Do they like keep one closed most of the time and just use two? Or do they keep them all?
I don't know. Then you have your squamata, which are the snakes and lizards. Now this chart is a little extra, I just wanted to show it to you.
But do you know what your only flaw?
This doesn't show the turtles.
You can't miss the turtle.
Where are the turtles?
Where are you at, son?
Last time I used the little stand.
Turtles have their own branch.
Look,
It's not
everyone's
on here.
on their
Hurry up.
electronic device.
Hurry up.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Fix this.
Okay. Let me just finesse. Because last time I just leaned it on my computer.
Okay. I can't. Oh, Jenny, you zoomed in quite a lot.
Tomorrow we'll talk about, you can stop recording now. Tomorrow we're going to talk about the birds.
Ah.
I want to show you this.
Oh my god. How'd you finesse?
Finesse.
Did you just finesse there?
Video.
That's not
on
finessing.